Harrison Graham here from Bears Now, live on the Callin app, ready and eager to take all of your calls. Go ahead and subscribe on Callin by hitting that subscribe button. Chatsports.com/BearsCallin is the place to go. Let's go ahead and get a call up here. We got the Bear Chicago Abe set to call in here. He's first up. Welcome in, sir. Go ahead and unmute yourself, and let's talk some Bears football.
So, say the Bears are 4-3 by the trade deadline. Are you shipping Quinn or are you keeping him in case of a playoff run?
Am I shipping Quinn or am I keeping him? 4-3, you'd be right in the mix, certainly, because I think this is going to be a bit of a weaker NFC this year, so I think at 4-3, it's very possible that you could certainly be in the mix to make at least a wild card push. Be curious to see where you'd be sitting in the division at that point. I think it depends. I think it depends on what the offers you would get are. Like if some team gives you a first-round pick, I mean that'd be hard to turn down. I mean we saw Philadelphia last year trade Zach Ertz but still make the playoffs, and I've made that parallel before. I think Chicago could be a team that even if they sell a piece at the deadline, they could still make a push in the second half of the season. So in that hypothetical, it's tough, but I do think that it's a possibility that they would still trade him or keep him in that scenario. I don't think either way is guaranteed, but I definitely think that every option is going to be on the table. What would you do? What do you think?
I would do what you would say as well. I would see what the offers would be. And like you said, if we get a first round pick, I would at least consider it. It really depends of what year Quinn is having. If he's having an amazing year, I think you should just keep him.
Yeah. Be interested to see what happens. If you guys want to predict in the chat, in the comments, will Robert Quinn get traded before the trade deadline? Type T for trade, type K for keep. Let us know what you guys think on that one, and we'll see what happens. All right, let's go to our next caller here. We got Corey, who was having some audio issues last time, but we'll try to get Corey on right here. Corey, welcome in. How's it going?
I personally feel like we shouldn't be talking about trading any more people till we see what we actually have.
Fair.
I mean, we don't know what we have on defense or offense right now.
Yeah, I think with Quinn, the conversation is okay. He's got a lot of money left on his deal. He's an older player. We know that Poles is trying to do two things, go younger and build through the draft. If he's a guy you can move to get you younger and to get you draft picks, then that's something worth considering. Now, I'm not saying go trade Cole Kmet, go trade Darnell Mooney. I'm not saying that, but I do think if there's one guy you're going to move, Robert Quinn could make sense.
I understand what he's trying to do, but if you don't have some veterans to teach the young guys how to do it right,
sure,
you ain't got good.
Yeah, and look, it's a valid point, Corey, and I appreciate you for calling in. You don't just trade everyone. That's not what I'm saying. But if a team gives you a good offer, you already traded Khalil Mack, clearly you're open for business if you're the Chicago Bears. Ryan Poles made that clear the second he traded Khalil Mack. That's just how it goes. So we'll see. I think it's a win-win situation. If you keep him, cool. You got a good pass rusher, a good veteran locker room presence. If you trade him, you're getting assets for the future. I don't think either way is necessarily a problem. Let's go to Joey Savage. Joey, welcome in. Click that mic icon and we can talk. What's up?
Hey, man. I was just going to say, everyone go follow Next Year Shy on Instagram. They got some cool content in the podcast coming up. But question for you, what do you think about the Bears bringing in RG3 as a possibility?
Yeah, so RG3 hopped on Rich Eisen's show a couple weeks ago and actually made a pitch for joining the Bears. Said he think he'd be a good resource for Justin Fields, which I won't argue that. But the reality is the second they sign Nathan Peterman, I mean they're done at quarterback. Siemian's the backup. Peterman's your QB3. Do I think Robert Griffin is better than Nathan Peterman? Yeah, I do. But it's also your third string quarterback. It's when you get to QB3, teams are going to look at a couple things. One, who's going to be a quality component in a locker room in those QB meetings. Not that RG3 wouldn't be, but Nate Peterman, whether you guys believe me or not, has a reputation of being a good presence in a quarterback room. So as a QB3, I think he makes a lot of sense. And again, RG3, he'd probably come in on a minimum deal, but there's also a chance you'd have to pay him a little bit more. So I just, at the end of the day, once you brought in Siemian, if you didn't have a true backup, I'd much rather have RG3 than Peterman. But Siemian's a backup. He started in this league. I think they're set at quarterback. The idea was interesting when he brought it up himself, but I just don't envision that being a real viable option. Let's go to Jordan Smith here, who's next up on our caller feed. Jordan, welcome in.
Hey Harrison, good to talk to you again, man. Love talking to you. Love seeing your work. Want to lay out a scenario for you. Let me know what you think.
Okay.
Bears get 6 to 9 wins. Fields top 15 passer, 4K passing, 500 yards on the ground. You end up with a 7 to 15 pick still. Where do you go? Offensive tackle, guard, center, receiver, tight end? What would you do?
I think in that scenario, that means a couple of things. One, you've got your franchise quarterback, so that would be fantastic. Two, you could be in a BPA situation where maybe the offensive lines played better than expected. Tevin Jenkins, Larry Borum, a lot of conversations about them this week at Hallis Hall is, as of now, they're going to be your starting left and right tackle. We'll see if that ends up playing out, but if they play and play well, you could be set there. I'd probably like to add another big-time receiver to pair with Darnell Mooney. We'll see if Pringle's just a one-and-done guy or if he's a guy that you would bring back next year as a number 3 type of receiver. Obviously, it depends also. How does Velus Jones contribute to this offense? I think it's too early to say in that scenario, Jordan, of which, number one, I love the scenario, by the way. You go 7-10, you're competitive, Fields takes a big jump, and you still get a good draft pick. I mean, I think that'd be perfect in all reality. I'd love to win 9 or 10 and sneak into the playoffs, but we'll see what happens. But you could go defense too. I mean, you could draft a defensive tackle. I mean, edge rusher is very much a possibility in the draft next year, especially if this is Quinn's last year with the team, which it very well could be. So ideally, if you're the Bears entering the draft next year, you're entering the draft with the thought of, okay, we have these needs, but we don't have to force it. We could go 4 or 5 different directions. I think that would be an ideal scenario if you are Chicago. Appreciate the call, Jordan. Let's see here. We got Matthew Prohl. Let me know how to pronounce that last name, Matthew. Welcome in. I'm not sure if we've talked here on Callin before. Appreciate you tuning in. If you click that mic button in the bottom right of your screen, you'll be good to go. What's up?
Yeah. You hear me?
Yeah, I got you. What's up?
How are you going? I'm good. I was asking myself if you were able to talk about the whole Roquan Smith situation. Like, does it bother you?
I mean, look, it's obviously unsettling, right? The reason I have not addressed it on a video or really even on social media is for the following reasons. And if you don't know what Matthew's talking about, search Roquan Smith on Twitter. There's a girl on TikTok that accused him of rape. I mean, that's the story. The reason I haven't addressed it, number one, she deleted the post. And number two, there's just not even anywhere close to enough information. I don't want to be the guy that jumps the gun on something, regardless of which way it might go, until there's more information. If it's true, it's horrible, and he can't be a part of this football team. I will say that.
Totally agree about that. But like, could you be worried that even if there's not enough proofs, like that the Bears could decide to like cut him or not inviting him in future training camps?
I mean, I think at this point they're feeling it out. They're probably doing their own investigation. They've probably talked to Roquan. They'll see if the NFL gets involved, and they'll see if more information comes out. If more evidence, if you will, or info comes out, further steps could be taken. I think it's so early in terms of what information we actually have that I don't think the Bears are in a spot where they're going to make some major declaration at this point in time. They're going to let it play out, see what happens. But obviously, I will be very clear on this. If this ends up that it's a legitimate thing. I have full expectations that he would not be on this team. I don't think we're anywhere close to that. I hope it's not true. I don't think any of us would want that to be true because that's a horrible thing that unfortunately does happen. But the reality is we just don't know enough. And that's why I haven't taken a deep dive into it, because I don't have any information. And when it's a sensitive topic like this, it's just, the hypotheticals, I don't like playing that game because we don't know enough yet. So
yeah, I understand talking about it on social media is probably not the best thing.
Exactly.
But thank you for your answer.
Yeah, appreciate it. Let's see here. Before we get to our next caller, and it'll be Nick, we'll get to Nick in a second. Smash that subscribe button on the Callin app. If you're watching on a video later on YouTube, chatsports.com/BearsCallin. That'll redirect you to Callin. We have shows live every single week here on the Callin app, video or audio podcasting app, I should say. It's like Twitter Spaces meets podcasting because you guys are allowed to hop in the caller queue. I get to answer all of your questions. We can go back and forth like I just did with a couple of callers there, and I want to connect with you directly. You guys send me your questions, but in this forum, I can hear from you guys. We can get to know each other a little bit better. So go ahead and subscribe. My goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers on Callin by football season, because I want to do some Callin post-game shows after every single game in the regular season. So help us out, subscribe, it's free, and let's continue to grow. All right, let's go to Nick, who is next up. Nick, welcome in. You can hit that unmute button and we'll be good to go.
Hey, Harrison, you hear me?
Yeah, I got you, Nick.
All right. I just want to say I love your show, and shout out to Don Burr, F Detroit. And I just want your honest opinion. Do you really think Poles will sign another offensive guard, like a veteran like Quinton Span or Eric Flowers? Because I really don't trust Dakota Dozier as our guard.
I know.
And I really don't want Fields running for his life and end up, getting hurt, being out the rest of the year. That's what I'm worried about.
I mean, I would like it personally. Look, if Jenkins and Borum work out and they're your tackles, that's great. You still have a problem at right guard. And I'm not saying you can fill every void, but I don't think paying Quinton Span $3 million is some catastrophic, type of outcome. I think he'd give you average to above average play, and you could live with that for 1 year. I don't think that's that big of a deal. So I'm open to that. I do think they're giving these rookies an opportunity to see if one or two of them emerge as potential starters, and I'm fine with that. But you don't want to wait forever either. I mean, you don't want some of these guys to get picked up and go to other teams, and then you're really, you get into July, early August, you're into training camp, you're like, holy crap, I mean, we just have a major void at right guard. You can't have stellar guys at all 5 positions. No team in the NFL has that. But Dakota Dozier stinks. Sam Mustipher is not an option, in my opinion. At least getting a starting caliber player would go a very, very long way. So I'm with you. I'd like to add someone. I think, like I said, they might wait through the rest of OTAs and mandatory minicamp to see if one of these rookies can emerge as a legitimate option at right guard, whether it's Zach Thomas or, a Braxton Jones, who I think is more of a tackle. But if one of these guys can emerge, great. If not, he better bring a vet in here, because I don't want Dakota Dozier or Sam Mustipher starting at right guard in week 1.
Totally agree with you, man.
All right, Nick, I appreciate it. And guys, let us know in the comments, should the Bears sign a veteran offensive lineman to start at right guard? Daryl Williams, another option who we talked about on YouTube the other day. He's a guard tackle, kind of flex option there. Eric Flowers, as Nick mentioned, is another guy that's still out on the market as well. Let us know in the comments if you think that the Bears should go out and sign another veteran offensive lineman.